Hello procrastinators and welcome to Quince. Wait, what? Not cute. Oh, that arrogant, albeit funny guy. Okay, yeah, no, I don't want to be copying him. Okay, I'm still on the lookout for a new intro, but yep, this is Dr. Kai and this is Quince, and this is another video on how to make your empire rank quickly by grinding and grinding and grinding. And here's a new type of grind. This grind is different to the cut the power ones in the sense that kind of feels like you're doing more. You spend less time accumulating missions and more time doing stuff, although the stuff you're doing is pretty boring. You're basically taking courier missions, but we'll get onto that in a second. Let me just show you where Quince is in terms of the bubble, way out there. So every courier mission you get here is guaranteed to be what we call long-range courier missions, which generally speaking are over 40 light years, and I guess the difference in distance doesn't make that much of a difference in terms of rep, but it is important to get long-range ones, and because you're so far out, all of them are going to be long-range. Quince is a beautiful system. In fact, it's the only system I know of that has an Earth-like around a gas giant. Sorry, not a gas giant, just a general giant. And they terraformed the world here, which kind of makes sense because it's going to be probably a billion years before that becomes a problem. But anyway, let me show you exactly what we're doing. We are getting courier missions, and there are various types. You've got the standard regular courier missions, like this one. Sometimes they'll have a heartbeat on them, which means it's a classified data courier mission. And if you can get those, they're worth significantly more. And also, this one, there's a heartbeat, that squiggly line there, and a secret cargo run is also quite lucrative. Otherwise, you will also be offered trade missions and smuggling missions, which you can do for the money, like that one's worth 3 million to me, and you need trade rank for those ones, whereas you need explorer rank for the courier ones. They don't give you any rep at all, really, anything that involves cargo, but again, you can do them for the money, so this one's like 4 million, I'm probably going to do that. So what you want to do is you want to collect as many as possible. There are 2 stations in the system, and I don't think it really matters. You can collect from both if you feel that's worth the time. I generally find there's more here, but it doesn't really matter. You can do the board flipping method, which again, I think Frontier has stated that board flipping is not officially recognized as an exploit, but it's not in the spirit of the game, so you decide if you want to violate that or not. And just to point out, it's not just the ones with a heartbeat that require you to not get scanned, like this secret cargo run, but also these ones with a skull. Again, if you get scanned, those missions fail, so be careful about that. So when you are collecting these missions, you want to bear in mind 2 things. One, you want to look at the time, so 2 hours is fine. If it's a lot less than that, then be careful, because the whole thing is going to take an hour and a half, and it could be more, depending on how many times you get interdicted. But what you do want to do is check the system map of the place that you're going to, and make sure that the station you're going to is not too far away. I'd say 4,000 is probably too much given the effort, but still this one's worth 1 million, so I'm going to take it anyway. But it is worth investing in looking in the system map and checking how far the station is out, because that can really add hours to the whole thing. Another tip, seeing as the whole thing takes so long, you can actually take the time to work out if there's any that go to the same system. So I've noticed that I've already got 2 missions going to Chin, like this one, for example, so I'm going to accept that, even though it's quite low, 300,000. I probably wouldn't take that normally if it's just by itself. Generally speaking, you're going to collect all these missions, and they're going to take you all to systems quite close to each other. So it does make sense to collect quite a lot. I wouldn't spend too much time collecting loads, because the longest part of the mission is handing them in. So if you collect like 50, it's going to take you like 2 hours to hand them in. And it only takes about half an hour to get here and back. So proportionally, I wouldn't spend too much time like collecting missions. Collect like 15, 16, 20 even. And just remember that, again, the longest part is the handing in. So if you're just after rep and not after credits, then don't bother with these ones, because they could delay you by 5 to 10 minutes each. So yeah, and generally speaking, the ones that are worth more give you more rep. So something like 435,000 credits, like this one, will give me maybe 1.5% in my marquee rank. It'll be more for lower ranks, less for higher ones. And if it's like 1 million, it might be 2 or 3%. And if it's like this one, 100,000, it probably won't even go up. It'll be like 0.25% or 0.5%. So I'm going to collect some now, and then I'm going to show you some of the tips involved in actually handing these in, because there are quite a few little things you need to know. But first, let me show you my outfitting build for this. I'm going to be doing this in my ASP, and let me just show you my build. What you want for your build basically is as much cargo as possible if you're interested in money. If you're not, don't worry about cargo. So I am concerned about cargo, so some of the missions can give you up to like 100 things. I've got space for 80, and my building requires basically the only thing that's not a cargo rack is the fuel scoop 5 and the shield generator 3. The shield generator helps against bump protection, and you will get interdicted a lot, and that will kind of delay the amount of damage you take before you can escape. And the fuel scoop obviously you're going to definitely need, and don't go lower than 5 or it's just going to be so slow. So yeah, you could definitely get missions that require under 80 cargo if you're interested in the money. I've got good thrusters and a good power distributor to escape from interdictions, especially if you're doing missions that involve the heartbeat, because those ones require that you don't get scanned or all the missions fail. So being able to boost away from an interdiction or from a scan in the base is extremely important. And I've got 2 shaft launchers because they're extremely important for the interdictions. Again, if you just keep firing those consecutively, then they won't be able to do much damage and you can escape. I've had a python with a railgun blasting at me, and thanks to these and my ability to boost, I have been able to get away. My shield's dropped, but I was able to get away. So yeah, this is a good build, but you can do it in any kind of ship you want really. Just bear in mind that you need jump range, and the ability to escape, and obviously a fuel scoop. Okay, that covers the basics, and the rest of the video is just going to be tips on how to do it efficiently and quickly, as well as avoiding getting scanned and other smuggling tips in case you're doing the smuggling missions as well. To collect more missions, I'm going to go to the other station here. Seeing as I'm at the further out one, it actually is a lot quicker for me to just jump to the next star and jump back in, and then go to the station that's nearer to the sun. Okay, I've got a good 20 missions. As you can see, they're all confined to quite a small area. It's still going to take ages to handle those in. Like, this is longer than my previous one. It's maybe even longer than an hour. But yeah, so I want to prioritize the ones that have the shortest timer. So for example, this one only has 48 minutes left. The others are actually quite good. So I'm going to start with that one. And I find it quicker to just target the actual station you're going to, like that. And then you just take off, and good luck. Bear in mind that you now have a whole bunch of missions where they'll just all fail if you get scanned even once successfully. So even exiting this base, you want to do it as quickly as possible and just get out there as quick as you can. If a scan initiates as you're leaving, just keep boosting, and hopefully you'll make it. If you've never had this many missions stacked before, then you'll notice one thing. You're going to get swamped and accosted by NPCs at every jump, and some of them are going to try to interdict you. They may not say anything, they'll just do it. So a tip that a lot of smugglers know is to park with your keister facing the sun, and they will try to interdict you and end up crashing into the star. Once they've all turned it into wakes, you can take off. I mean, look at that. That is crazy. Thankfully they're all going green, which means they're all disappearing. Now they're all gone, so you can move away. While you're in transit to the system, you want to be cycling through everyone, making sure there's no system authority, especially behind you. That eagle is right behind me, so I got my eye on him, and he's actually facing me. So what I'm going to try and do is overshoot this planet a bit, and then approach it from the other side, and just make sure he doesn't try and move in behind me. So as you're approaching the station that you want to land in, if it's a smuggling mission or a secret cargo run, firstly just make sure you haven't got anyone selected, because if they go into a low wake you won't be able to jump out. And then you want to approach from the planet side directly into the orbit itself, because you're going to be smuggling in, so you want to be trying to face the mail slot as best as possible, and they always face the planet, roughly speaking. So I've completely failed at that, so I'm going to actually move into position first. A lot of people might think that silent running helps you not get scanned, but that's actually not true. Although if you're watching this after 2.1 has dropped, then it actually is true. When someone starts scanning you, when one of the police starts scanning you, you need to basically break the line of sight, so get into the mail slot. So I'm just going to get that sorted first. I'm going to line up, and then I'm going to start boosting towards and entering at high speed. That way, even if I do get scanned, I might have time to make it in before the scan completes. So long as the line of sight is broken, it's fine. Once you're in, you are safe, either way. So I'm coming in quite fast. I'm in an asp, so it's hard to slow down. I don't want to go in too fast. But it seems like I've made my first smuggle mission. And I'm probably going to overshoot a bit, but that's fine. You can even bump into the back. You just want to make sure you get in there safe. Okay, now that I've handed that in, I want to now prioritize what to do next. Generally speaking, if you've only got courier ones left, you just want to do them in order of what's closest. So you want to spend as little time as possible jumping around. Otherwise, you want to make sure that none of them are ending imminently, in which case you prioritize them. But also, it's very useful if you've got plenty of time like I do, to try and prioritize the ones that will fail if you get scanned, so you can get them out of the way. And if you want to order those, then do them in terms of the ones that are most valuable first. This one's worth 4 million, so I'm going to go and hand that one in. Thankfully it's an outpost, and they're very easy to smuggle into. You almost never get scanned at outposts, and it's only one jump away, so that's great. If you do get interdicted and it looks like it's going badly, firstly you drop down to 75%, and you try and get through this bug. Try and get out of it, but if it starts looking bad, like it keeps going way beyond your control, drop down to throttle 0 and submit. That way your cooldown isn't for too long before you can boost away again, especially if it's system authority, because system authorities have plenty of time to scan you if you give them a minute. Thankfully these guys, actually the Eagle could be system authority. So I'm not too worried, but while you're escaping, do chuck your chuff out, and as soon as it's ready, jump to super cruise again, and you should be fine. There's not much that can get in your way. Also, don't do what I just did and start pointing away from your general direction, in an asp at least, because it might take a while before you catch up again. Even at outposts it is possible to get scanned, so just keep an eye and make sure there's no ships about, and if you do get scanned, well, it's pretty much over at that point. But yeah, you can always try and escape if you do see some system authority and come back for a different instance or a refresh. Just to prove the point that anything that involves cargo generally doesn't give much rep. It's got 4 million, so you'd expect a lot, right? I'm on 64%, hands it in, went up 1%, and actually I probably only went up about 1/4%. I was probably already at the end of 64. So if you want rep and don't care about money, avoid those, they're just a waste of time. Whereas courier missions, which have no cargo, and expensive ones especially, like this one, 1.168 million, I'm on 66% now. If I hand that over, 68, that's 2%, probably a bit more as well. I think I was at the bottom of 66, and I'm probably now at the top of 68. Here's one much less, 69, so I probably was at the top. Now here's less again. I bet you will still be on 69. Yep. So value does play a factor in these missions. If you're coming in a little too hot and you're going to overshoot, which is very likely to happen in ASP, you can always just collide off the station if you've got your bump protection shields like I recommended. Slow yourself down, saves time. Saving time is extremely important for this, as you can tell. So yeah, I'm about to hand in the last mission now. I failed 4 because I ran out of time. That's because I had to go out unexpectedly, and I failed another 2 because I overheated and my cargo hatch broke and I lost a whole bunch of stuff. So basically, there you go. I reached 78%. That's 14% overall. With those 5 or 6, or 2 of them weren't worth very much, but probably 3 or 4 of them were. So I probably could have made another 6%, so total maybe 20%, and it would have taken me probably 2 hours total. I could have cut it down as well. So yeah, this turns out to be a really good way to earn rep. It's questionably faster or slower than cutting the power, but it's less soul destroying, because with the cutting the power and the charity missions, you can very often go through a very dry patch and not get any missions at all, and you're just waiting and waiting, and you're feeling dejected because you were like, you had a really good roll and you're going to be finished by this time. And with this, you know what you're doing, you know where you stand, and you're kept busy, and you get a good 20% out of it. So I only need to do this really 2 more times max, possibly even 1 more time if I'm really good, and then I'll reach my level of Duke, which is what I'm aiming for because I want the cutter. But yeah, I also made about 12 million or so. Or was it more? Actually, I lost track. Maybe it was 20. Maybe it was less. But you know, not that bad. Good trading can make you about the same amount in the same time. And Also, there's another planet called Cubio, where you can also get long-range missions, and they're actually under 40 light years, but they give you the same sort of rep bonus, because really it does appear to be to do with the fact that they're long-range, not to do with the distance. From what I've heard, Cubio gives you courier missions, as well as cut the power missions, as well as charity missions, although a lot of people are saying Cubio is now dead. And Quince may also go dead at some point, so just make sure you stay up to date with what's the latest, and you make sure that you know what you're doing, and what's the best places to go at the time. But for now, this was how to do the Quince long-range missions, and remember, only the courier missions if you want rep, but do some smuggling missions if you want some money, which obviously most people do. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed, and so long, Space Cowboys!